Fortunate for the rulers that men do not think. The reason men don't think is because they don't feel like they have to. They're comfortable in their servitude. As a result, it's always going to be difficult to free fools from the chains they revere. The propaganda arm for the military-industrial complex, otherwise known as mainstream or corporate media, and we're talking about every outlet here, has already artificially installed Joe Biden as the winner on Saturday. No certification or validation necessary. A day later, on Sunday, 60 Minutes ran their own Big Pharma infomercial entitled Operation Warpspeed, a shot in the arm. And as luck would have it for the 60 Minutes drug ad, on Monday, we have the out-of-the-blue miraculous announcement that Big Pharma under Pfizer has completed vaccine trials more than 2 years earlier than anybody thought could possibly have been done. They said, quote, Pfizer announced the latest results for the coronavirus vaccine, which is now in late-stage clinical trials. The results, which were evaluated by an independent committee of experts, though not yet peer-reviewed, show that based on the information they have thus far, the drug is at least 90% effective in preventing COVID-19 among participants who had not previously been infected with the cerveza bug. And of course, the media, while condemning all questioning of voter fraud, is more than willing to push what many are calling medical fraud. What was happening was Trump was stockpiling the final solution for the military and the CIA. Democrat governors at the time were declaring that the vaccine isn't safe and hasn't been tested. And boom, as soon as mainstream media declares Biden the winner, there's an immediate 180. Looks like what happened is that they got Trump to believe that this was going to be his ticket to re-election if he rushed it. Then they slow-walked it at the last minute, and they waited for the media coronation of Joe Biden, and now they're rushing it again. What I want to focus on right here are some excerpts of this 60-minute segment where host David Martin asked General Gustav Perna, the Army general in charge of Operation Warpspeed, some interesting questions, and he gets some very interesting and curious answers.
While the rest of the country has been counting votes, an Army general named Gus Perna has been counting doses of vaccine.
Not 7 seconds into this, and critical thinkers already have a pressing question. How the heck can you count doses of anything that hasn't undergone final approval, let alone received the green light for mass production? If the vaccine hasn't even been approved yet, what in the world is General Perna and his team counting?
He's in charge of Operation Warpspeed, the catchy title given to the crash program to inoculate 300 million Americans against the coronavirus by next spring.
And just in case you doubted what Trump's Operation Warpspeed was all about, he just said it. The inoculation of every person in this country. Every person. And with the military involved in its distribution, what do you think the odds are that the inoculation is going to be on a voluntary basis?
For those of you longing to reclaim a semblance of your previous life, it may not seem all that speedy, but it is compared to the 5 to 10 years it usually takes to field a new vaccine.
The implication here is just picking up where the former seeds of propaganda left off. Basically, you're not going back to normal without this vaccine. Equally alarming is that if vaccines usually take 5 to 10 years to manufacture and bring to market, but they managed to roll this one out in less than a year, how mentally challenged do you have to be to roll up your sleeve for an industry that had to have a law passed and private court set up in order to escape any and all medical liabilities because of injured victims of their snake oil elixir?
Once approved, it will not be a silver bullet. Just as with the annual flu shot, some of us will still get sick.
Logical translation? Not only are pharma products like this potentially hazardous to your short-term and long-term health, according to historical facts, there's a good possibility that you'll get sick even if you get the flu shot.
But it should make enough people immune so that the virus runs out of places to go.
It should? You're investing all this time and all these resources, and you're making all these promises, and the best you can offer is that it should make enough people immune? Not to mention that this presupposes that there's an actual threat that we need deliverance from. What if that's not even true?
That would give this country what it badly needs right now, a shot in the arm.
So what you got here is mainstream media, big pharma, and the military-industrial complex just launched their sales pitch. You badly need a shot in the arm. You need Operation Warpspeed. You must have the Gil Bates final solution in your bloodstream. This is worse than a Twilight Zone movie because this is happening at warp speed in real time.
So if this distribution of vaccines doesn't go according to plan, where does the buck stop?
Me. Conversation's over. It's pretty easy. Me. I hold myself 100% personally accountable to that end.
Ever get the feeling that you're watching a bad movie with a bad script and bad acting? And guys, it gets way worse.
60 Minutes went into his operations center where the plan to get the vaccine out to 300 million Americans is being orchestrated by military specialists brought in from across the country.
So the military-industrial complex is aligned against us, and they're formulating a plan to deliver the savior of the world. The vaccine that may not even work will go out to every man, woman, and child in the land, and they're planning every detail as they trample the Constitution and violate their oath of office. Now, pay real close attention to this part of the segment.
I listen every day to what's being said, and then I spend a good part of my evening Googling these words so that I can participate, preferably at an intellectual level, but at least in an understanding.
On his whiteboard is one possible scenario: the all-important approval by the Food and Drug Administration of a vaccine developed by Pfizer, followed by approval of another from Moderna.
Let's go back to that whiteboard for a second. 60 Minutes aired this on Sunday, November 8th, and then uploaded it to their YouTube channel on Monday, November 9th. This means that it had to be written, produced, recorded, and edited at least a couple days before Sunday. Let's say they recorded it on Thursday or Friday. Pfizer wouldn't make the announcement of 90% vaccine efficacy until Monday, November 9th. And we also know, according to mainstream media, that there are other drug makers competing to produce an effective vaccine. At least 9 others. Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca, GlaxoSmithKline, Sinovac, BioNTech, and others. But they just so happened to peg Pfizer days before the so-called positive clinical trial was announced on the following Monday. Somebody could say that it looks like the script is already written in advance.
What is D-Day?
The day that we deliver the first round of vaccine for Pfizer.
So there you have it. That's the U.S. military acting like the delivery boys for Big Pharma. Let that sink in. Our military is working for an industry that has politicians in their back pockets, and their product will be distributed and forced down our throats or into our arms by the most powerful military in the entire world on American soil. Nothing like a little medical martial law courtesy of the red, white, and blue.
That's when it would start to get complicated because, if approved, the Pfizer vaccine will require patients to receive 2 separate shots 21 days apart.
Did you hear that? They're calling healthy people patients.
We know it's a 2-dose vaccine, so we want to ensure that we can manage the delivery of the first dose and ensure the delivery of the second dose while we simultaneously integrate new rounds of doses being delivered to the American people.
They go on to say that while distributing the VAXX, it must be kept at a temperature below 94 degrees below zero. Now, here's what I wanted to get to.
Are you ready to go if a vaccine is approved tomorrow?
Yes, we are.
What's the first order you're going to give?
It's a simple command of execute.
Execute.
I can't even think of a more appropriate word to describe what the elites want to foist on the masses than execute. Can you?
Execute.
Now, listen to this.
So once you say execute, how fast does it get out there?
Within 24 hours.
Do you have doses of vaccine already stockpiled?
Yes, we do.
How many do you have stockpiled?
I'm holding on to that number right now because I want to not create anxiety and we need to work through the details.
What the hell did you just say?
Do you have doses of vaccine already stockpiled?
Yes, we do.
Real quick question. If the vaccine hasn't gone through the final clinical trials, and if that same vaccine hasn't even been approved, how the hell can you have, quote, doses of vaccine already stockpiled? What's really going on here? Let me ask you something. Are you going to willingly roll up your sleeve and trust the word of mainstream media teleprompter readers, corporate oligarchs, political panderers, military leaders, and big pharma overlords? Are you going to trust them with your health and the health of your family? There's a good chance that those who want to force you to wear the mask today will want to force you to take the vax tomorrow. The question is, will you comply? And what exactly is it that they have stockpiled if there is no approved vaccine yet? Leave your thoughts about this for the world and the global thought police in the comment section below. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my private email list through my website, highimpactflix.com, and subscribe to my brand new video upload site where you're going to get censorship-free, members-only content. That's at highimpacttv.com. The links are in the description. I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.